Hello everyone and welcome to Action RPG Build Guide Edition. Today I'm ready to drop on you my new and improved HYDRA for Runemaster. If you like minions but you also like spell casting, this is going to be the build for you. As always, I will cover every single facet of the build. Everything is timestamped in the description below if you need to bounce around. Let's not waste any time and jump right into this. Starting off with some gameplay. Now the skills we're using for our HYDRA is Fireball, Runic Invocation, Flame Rush, Frost Wall converted to fire, and Flame Rush. Now in order to make your HYDRA boxes, you need to have a lightning skill for the invocation, and in this case we have converted Flame Rush into lightning. That way when we come out of Flame Rush, we are dropping our Hydras everywhere. Now Mage does not have a minion class or really even a minion skill, so this is going to be the closest you can get to minion inside of the Mage class or the Runemaster Mastery. And we can manually cast HYDRA boxes and we will make them as we come out of Flame Rush. You want to go through your firewall. This will give you Frenzy and Haste. It'll cleanse you, and it'll give you a boost award. Also, your firewall will shoot your fireballs. And ultimately, you just bounce around the map. And what's awesome about these HYDRA boxes is they auto-target. They scale with your spell damage, not with minion, so it's very easy to synergize the build. And they are deadly accurate when it comes to hitting enemies. They literally never miss. So pretty simple build. You bounce around, you make your little minions, and then they just tear up everything as you shoot them with fireballs. Right now at time of recording, we just passed 350 corruption on this build. And we're cruising. Let me show you single target. All right, Shade of Orbis. Again, this is corruption 350. And just like in the gameplay, we're going to be manually making HYDRA boxes with Runic Invocation. And we will be placing HYDRA boxes on the ground when we come out of Flame Rush. And just FYI, if you feel like your Flame Rush is not making the HYDRA box, that is because you do not have enough mana to make it. You will notice this fairly early on. So the Hydras will just auto-attack. You will continue to bounce through your firewall. The firewall will also shoot fireballs, and it will cleanse you, give you ward and frenzy and haste. 300 Shade of Orbis, down. Let me show you how to recreate this build. So now let's break down the skills, starting with Flame Ward, and I will show you the order in which you want to take the points. The first thing you want to do with Flame Ward is go up and you want to automate your skill. So with this node, it is going to make it where every time you hear the ding sound, that is you being stunned, Flame Ward is going to auto trigger. So you really never have to manually trigger it on your own unless you want to, and you will have 2 charges, which is nice. That's a less button to push. You're then going to come down and you're going to grab less hit damage and elemental damage taken, and then your final 3 points into dilation, so it costs less mana and it lasts longer. Now, if you are having no problem with survivability and you want to spec Flame Ward into boosting your damage, you could pull these points out right here, which, I mean, you know, if you feel tanky, you can do that, and you can buff your fire damage and your base damage. So if you want to take it DPS, you take these 2 nodes. If you want to take survivability, you take those 2. Moving over to Frost Wall. What you want to do first is come down and up and turn it into a firewall. And what's great about this is it synergizes with the build because this will actually shoot for your fireball tree. So it'll be like you have little turrets on top of your firewall. You're going to do more multiplicative damage to chilled enemies when you have an active firewall. And then you're going to come down here and you're going to get ward and mana when you go through your firewall, cleanse when you go through your firewall, and frenzy and haste, yes, when you go through your firewall. Your final 3 points are going to be up here, where you can gain as much as 200 mana or 200 ward when enemies pass through your firewall. Moving over to Fireball. And what you want to do first is come to the right. You want to get cast speed and mana. This very, very important. Fireball has to be free. You do not want this even costing 1 mana. It needs to be free. You're then going to come down and over, and you're going to take Flame Burst, and you're going to take Volatile Flames. Flame Burst has its own sub tooltip, and it does very, very decent damage and synergizes perfectly with this build. You're going to make sure Fireball is homing, so it seeks out its targets. You're then going to put 5 into speed, range, and multiplicative damage. And then on your last point right here, I put it into pierce chance and mana cost, but that still kept it 0. If you put this point here and this moved from mana cost 0 to 1, I would move it right here into base crit. Moving over to Flame Rush. Now, Flame Rush, it needs to be a lightning skill. Just keep that in mind. To actually make the rune word, the invocation for Hydra, you need to have a lightning skill, and that is going to be fulfilled through Flame Rush. First thing you're going to do is going to come down. You're going to get your invocation so that you are making hydras as you come out of your movement skill. It works so well. It is awesome. And then you're going to come over here and turn this into a lightning skill. You are then going to come up and you're going to get less damage taken. You're going to get that this persists after you come out. You're going to get mana efficiency and cooldown. You're going to get speed and range. And then the final point will go right here where it'll spec with your fireball. Last, Runic Invocation, and we currently have 24 points into it. If you don't have as many points into Runic Invocation, you would just not take this node right here, which brings down the cooldown for manually casting Hydras. Now, what you want to do is you want to come down here, and this is the first node you want, Immutable Order. And this is going to make it where the skills on your bar will be the invocations that are made, and that is how you always make a Hydra instead of one of the other skills. You're then going to come up here, and you are going to get invocations with your raw rune, have a chance to ignite enemies and deal spell damage. So you're talking about a base 24 damage to your Hydra. You're then going to come up and over and grab Ruin, which is going to give you multiplicative damage. And then you're going to come over here and you're going to get Transcriber of Power, which is going to give you your Hydra 9% base crit chance. It all works together. And if you have 24 points like me, you'll be manually casting your Hydras all the time because the cooldown will only be 7 seconds. Those are the skills. Now let's talk passives, starting with the base Mage tree. We have 8 into Arcanist for intelligence and resistances, 6 into Scholar, 1 into Elementalist, and then we are taking Arcane Flames. This is going to give you more multiplicative damage against ignited targets. And believe it or not, every enemy you fight will be ignited. Moving over to Runemaster, where we currently have 66 points. You have 5 into Unsealed Mana. And again, whenever you directly use 3 skills in a row that cost 0 mana, you gain a burst of mana and ward. It is very, very important, I just want to say this again, that your Fireball costs nothing. It needs to be a free cast so that you can trigger your mana burst and ward to make sure you are always positive mana. 8 into Arcane Focus, 6 into Transcendence. We're taking some damage reduction because, again, all the enemies will be ignited. 5 into Never Late, 1 into Nimbus Walk, 3 into Rune of Dilation. This is going to give you cast and movement speed buff when you come out of your traversal skill. And remember, you will also have Frenzy and Haste if you travel through your firewall. 6 into Instruments. This is going to give you 72% more multiplicative damage because you will be using a wand. Degree of Burning Wind. This is going to be double the effect if you go through a frost wall, which you're going to be doing, and this is going to be multiplicative damage to bosses and rares. There is lots of synergies with frost wall. Now, for some survivability, we are taking Ancient Inscriptions, which leads us to Rune Stones, and this is mana gained as endurance threshold, mana and endurance percent. This is not a low life build, but we are using life, we are using ward, and endurance. 1 into Runeward Inferno. This is just obviously we are a fire build, so you only need 1 point in because points do not scale with allocated points. And then 4 into Jagged Veil. Now the other 27 points are over in Sorcerer, and there is a lot of good stuff in Sorcerer. We are taking Arcane Momentum in its base form, which is 2 and 6. We're getting a base to our spell Critical Strike chance based upon intelligence. Now these two, Mana Shell and Wisdom. For the build, I was struggling a little bit on longer fights to maintain positive mana, and once I took these two, it really, really helped a lot. It gave us more max mana and regen. If you're struggling with mana at all, take these 8 points. Then coming over here, we took Pyromancer and then 5 into Lavamancer, which is going to give you Fire Penetration and Fire Leech. Those are the passives. Moving over to Last Epoch tools, where we're going to break down the blessings, idols, and gear, starting with blessings. Now, since we are not in low life, you need a good form of sustain. That is why we are taking spell damage leached as health. You want as much leech as you can possibly get. You're going to be attacking like crazy, and it will help keep you positive mana, which you saw from the Shade of Orbis fight. A couple of times I took a big hit, and it bounced right back up. Crit avoidance, endurance, physical resistance, and mana. For this build, the key number is 300 mana, 300. You need to be above 300. Looking at our idols, we are taking Adorned Arcane. This is increased fire damage. This effect is doubled if you have 300 maximum mana, and we are taking Ward Retention. The other idol we are using is a Throne of Ambition. It is not required, but it is going to help you with survivability. And this is just going to give you a boost to your armor. It's going to give you a boost to your armor. The other idols are mana and health. All right. Moving over to the gear. There's technically nothing required for this build. That being said, unequivocally best in slot. It's basically required is the box of HYDRA. Now, this is a common drop. I found 100 of them. I would guess if you're looking at this build, you already have one. I got a bunch that are 2 LP, and they are also free in the Merchant's Guild. But this is the item you want to truly unlock this build. And I'll go through each item individually. Helmet. Fire penetration with fire invocations. Amulet, crit multiplier, health, fire. Offhand, crit multiplier, cast speed. Chest, fire penetration with fire invocations, level to fireball, double health. Ring, fire damage intelligence, Belt, fire mana, double health. Boots, intelligence movement, double health. Gloves, cast speed intelligence, double health. And then our weapon, we are using crit multiplier, fire penetration. You could also use spell. You can also use cast speed. So there's lots of different things you can throw on your weapon. That is the gear. Now let's talk leveling. Aaron, this is great, but how do I go from level 1 to end game? I will show you. Now you're gonna have a couple options, but I'm gonna start with the basic. You're gonna be using Elemental Nova, and that's going to be paired with Teleport. Now, Teleport is an amazing leveling skill. It's honestly amazing skill even through end game, but what makes it really special for leveling is this tree right here. And I know my face is blocking it a little bit, but ultimately these 3 nodes allow you to make 3 Novas when you use Teleport, which means you can move through the campaign and kill enemies simultaneously, so you just absolutely fly. And the option that you have is you can take Elemental Nova as lightning or Elemental Nova as fire. They both work. Just so you know, there is more low-level uniques that are fire than lightning. So if you have access to leveling gear, I do recommend fire, but you can go lightning as well. They both work. Now, if you go lightning, you are going to take Lightning Blast. And if you go fire, you are going to take Fireball. And again, you just want cast speed and you don't want it to cost any mana. So those are your options, but really it is Teleport, Nova, and then which one you prefer. All right, everyone, that's the build guide. What do you think of my new and improved Hail Hydra? Is there anything I missed? Is there anything I do to take this to the next level? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. A couple of asks at the end of the video. Ask number 1, check out my Discord. We are approaching 4,000 members in the Action RPG Discord. Great conversations. We cover all things Action RPG. We have a brand new community event for Dwarven Realms kicking off on Friday for Season 24. We have a new community event for Last Epoch on July 9th for Cycle 2. It's a new treasure hunt community event. We draw giveaways every 2 weeks. The next giveaway is on July 1st for an Action RPG hat. Great place to hang out. First link in the description is my Discord. Please like, share, and subscribe if you think I've earned it. And the best way to support is Patreon. Patreon, we just got done with movie night last night. It was a lot of fun. We watched Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure as a community. We have game night coming up for V Rising. You get exclusive content. You get the VIP lounge. I'm done. Check out Patreon. Hopefully you're entertained or at least learned something. Aaron, out.